Hey, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Welcome to another episode of Ask a Brother podcast. I'm your host, Jeff St. James. And listen, y'all, I know I'm not as working as hard as maybe Myron and Anton Daniels, but I gotta believe I am definitely one of the hardest working people in this podcasting thing, at least this year anyway, man. And kudos to y'all, man, because it's been kind of crazy, especially the last 2 weeks. I did six interviews, two appearances in the last 10 days, I believe, something like that. So definitely been grinding. This particular week for sure, I'm definitely going to slow down on the interviews, at least this week in particular, because I want to do a lot more original content this week. But I definitely am excited about tonight's guest for sure. So real quick, number one, I checked my subscriber counts literally just now, and we are now up to 32,949 subscribers in such a short amount of time. So kudos to everybody who's been helping with that for sure. Yep. Thank y'all again for just the ongoing support while we kind of try to build this channel and this brand. I've been obviously building it primarily through collabs and just original content. I'm not really doing much of the other things I think a lot of the content creators is doing, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the opportunity to just be allowed in this space. And I don't take it for granted that, this whatever this wave is that I'm kind of a part of is dope. I'm honored. And I also know that everybody doesn't get it. So, it's one of those things where I'm here. This is a moment where I and others are kind of just engaging in whatever is currently relevant. And I hope that I can kind of keep doing what it is that you all are expecting and hoping from me and this channel in particular. I got some surprises going to be coming up. More than likely in January 2026. I don't see myself doing some of these particular surprises I want to do as of yet. But once I get more information about some particular show ideas and concepts, I'll let y'all know. Maybe the members will be the first to know. And again, number two, shout out to the members. For the people who are members to this channel, if you became a member in the last 4 or 5, 6 months, thank you for that, because without you, honestly, a lot of the equipment and stuff that we've been kind of getting and putting together would have been a lot more difficult of me trying to buy all this equipment on short notice. But you all being able to support the channel. Heck, I got to fly out next week to Atlanta for a show, and y'all just at becoming a member and paying that $2.99. A lot of you might not see it as much, but when the amount of you that have joined and become members have done so, y'all make these type of events and things for me very tangible and possible, and allowing me to do something that I think has been a really cool and dope dream. So I cannot thank you all enough. And thank you to the guests that came on the channel up to this point, especially my guests from last week. It's been awesome, genuinely, to get people, and I mean, from White House correspondents to people in various different fields, especially in mental health, all the way down to getting Dr. Alveda King, Dr. King's niece, to pop on when she doesn't do a lot of interviews anymore, and me just being lucky enough to get her. Like, this was awesome. So it's been a really, really cool run. But I also know what kind of got me into this spot in the first place was doing a lot of original content. So the Master Communicator, that's going to be showing probably in the next 24 to 48 hours, depending on how quickly editing gets done. But when it gets done and it gets posted, the first people who will be allowed to see it, maybe for anywhere between 4 or 12 hours, will be members only, and then it will switch over and everybody else will be allowed to be able to watch it in terms of the rest of the public. Gotta say that I'm really happy with how the episode is going to turn out. I think that it's going to be helpful, it's going to be meaningful, and for a lot of you who always ask questions like, how can I get better at communicating and expressing my thoughts? I think that I took those questions. I went to work. I did some decent research, and I'm going to have some examples that I hope will be helpful. But along with the whole Master Communicator episode that's about to come absolutely this week, best believe, as I'm slowing down on the interviews, like I said, there's going to be a few more episodes. And these are some of the episodes that I have in mind that I plan to, don't assume that this is in order, by the way. The truth about Black fatigue. Single by choice is a lie. The most unattractive people are ... and how to date a feminist. All 4 of those are going to be lined up as well after the Master Communicator episode is posted and up. So do not forget, y'all, if you all are in right now or coming in right now, please make sure to subscribe to this channel if you have not done so. Like this particular video if you have not done so yet. And at the end or even throughout, make sure that you hype up the videos, especially the original content pieces. Save your hypes for those videos because they're a lot harder to get everybody to kind of notice and see. And then real quick, y'all, Obsidian, who I had just interviewed about 2-3 weeks ago, his channel's gone. They just deleted his channel completely off YouTube. So Obsidian is gone from YouTube, and this is probably his 6th or 7th channel that is now gone. And he literally was just on our platform about a couple weeks ago. So it can happen that quickly. In terms of people that just are anti-hate, whatever it is that you gotta say, or even if it's not, even if it's true and unflattering, there's just going to be people who very quickly are going to try to, and it seems very, very noticeable now that I think that there's a concerted effort to try to make sure that certain people, certain ideas, and certain perspectives are just flat out not allowed to kind of exist very long in the space. Tommy didn't even make it, I want to say, a week or 2 weeks, and he was gone. And then now Obsidian has been deleted as well. So 2 guys who I just had on this platform within the last month, both their YouTube channels have been deleted. So I'm like, hey, I hope I'm not next, but I gotta say, man, it's sad, and I think that as more and more of us build these collaborations, I definitely think we have to start having discussions amongst ourselves as far as content creators and collaborators about other spaces that we can start to make sure our audiences can find us and support us in the event that something like this happens to us as well. So I hope that he's able to get his channel back or start a new one. And if that happens, I'm going to reach out to him tomorrow, try to find out any ways I can kind of show support if I can, for sure. But just letting y'all know, like, these YouTube streets are not kind, and it seems like they love when you push certain narratives and perspectives, even if it's negative or toxic. But when it comes to actually speaking truth about particular groups or communities, depending on who you're talking to, man, apparently this is how this stuff kind of happens, unfortunately. All right, so real quick, I'm going to now get ready to introduce my next guest. But before I do, we're going to shout out our sponsor for today. So I'm going to play their video, and then we're going to introduce my next guest. So stay tuned. All right, the shout out again to Do Sable Botanical Farms for their healthy alternatives to assist you gentlemen in the bedroom with sexual performance and improving testosterone levels. Please, guys, if you check them out, make sure that you type in Ask a Brother 10 for the coupon code for 10% off your next purchase, for sure. And listen, y'all, if I always say it, I'll always say it. I'm probably say it a few more times. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Definitely become a member if you so see fit. $2.99 is the membership fee. But if you're not a member and you love the content, you want to continue to support the channel and brand, feel free to hit that $ and donate whatever it is that you see fit. We'll greatly appreciate it, man. But listen, y'all, without further ado, because I'm hype. And by the way, when y'all do those dollar donations or super chats or whatever it is, as long as nothing like crazy derogatory, whatever, I'm going to set aside time to make sure that I highlight and put that up on the screen. And if it's a particular question, me and or the guest will try to engage in it to the best that we can. And that was the easiest way in which I can kind of point out to it. So make sure that you send this to 2 or 3 people. She has a very, very big following, by the way. So my lens and perspective with this is that a lot of you have probably heard of her, have seen her stuff. And I just believe that, listen, I'm just excited. I'm lucky for sure. I know you're not here for me when it comes to these interviews. So let me jump on the way with this stuff. With well over 159,000 subscribers and 12.5 million channel views alone on YouTube, this commentator has built up a solid channel discussing and reacting to a variety of topics in pop culture, especially relationships. She keeps it real, maintains her authenticity, and both men and women love her content and work. I am extremely excited and lucky to have her come through to Ask a Brother podcast and our particular show. So please, 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 y'all help me welcome to the stage Miss Dee Dee Reactions. What's going on?
What's going on? How y'all doing? Glad to be here. Shout out to Jeff. Thank you so much for having me.
Listen, listen, listen. So, for starters, welcome to the show. I'm excited. I'm happy that you've decided to pull up on me. Listen, y'all. For starters, when you start breaking into the Crimson Cures and the Dee Dees of the world, that's when you really made it. So, so definitely, thank you for sliding through. Why don't you first kind of let everybody know just a little bit about your background in terms of like what your journey was in terms of getting into content creation before I even get to my questions.
So, oddly, the first way, my first introduction to social media, YouTube, was basically a beauty channel. I started through beauty. Um, Took a little bit of a turn. Did a bit of kind of pop culture, a little bit, uh, sort of like entertainment with celebrity news and stuff like that. I did that for a bit. And then I landed in what I didn't know was called the manosphere. I didn't know anything about it. And I kind of landed here, um, really off of Kevin Samuels. And we will probably, talk about that. But yeah,
Mhm.
kind of after, landed here, listening to Kevin Samuels kind of brought me here. And I related to a lot of the things that he was saying. And I wanted to talk about it. So that's basically how I got into this space, giving my opinion on relationships and things of that nature, because I really related to what he was saying. Even though people didn't like what he was saying, I related to it a lot. And so
Mm.
that's basically how I ended up here in a nutshell.
Nice, nice. And actually related to what you said about, finding yourself kind of liking some of his talking points.
Yeah.
How have women received and reacted to your content when you pointed out issues and things that you felt they needed to improve on? So let's start with women first. Like, how did they in general tend to respond and react to you?
Well, they didn't like it. They still don't like it. Basically, they don't like it because it speaks to some truths, and that's how I related to what Kevin was saying, because a lot of it was the truth. Even though, the way people didn't perceive it well, they just didn't like what he was saying. And so same with me. They don't like it. Anything that I have to say about women, holding them accountable, like, pointing out some issues that I even speak on, trying to relate, like by saying, "Hey, look, I've been where you are in some aspects." They still don't like it. They just don't
Mm,
like anything that points to any type of accountability when it comes to women. Now, if I was talking about men, oh my God, that's accepted. That's a no pushback whatsoever. You
mm,
know, no pushback whatsoever. It's just, I just think they don't like to hear the truth. And I'm just giving an opinion. Like I said, it's just my opinion. If it doesn't, I always say, if it doesn't apply, let it fly. If it's not you, why are you so angry about it? I don't get
mm,
Look, if somebody tells me something about something that may hit home with me, I'm not gonna get mad about it. I'm gonna evaluate that. I'm gonna look at it and say, hey, you know what? It touched me in for a reason. It probably was truth, and I just didn't want to accept it. So I think that's what I get from women, which most women on here will tell you the same thing.
mhm.
We the pick me nation, because we the pick me's, we the mammies. That's what they call us, because oh,
Mm,
y'all are male centered. All y'all do is talk about women. All y'all do is bash women. No, we're just saying things that you don't want to accept, and
mm.
that's fine. But I mean, some of it must be true for you to be so mad about it. That's how I see it anyway.
Pick me's and mammies.
Yeah, yeah.
Male, this is amazing. Well, how did the men react from your vantage point in terms of when they would engage with this stuff? How did the men tend to respond to you?
They're mostly receptive. Most of them, because it seems like it's in their favor. Like we're saying things that, so yeah, they're mostly receptive. I don't get too much pushback, even though I've got a little bit, but not much at all. Most men, they're receptive to what we're saying, because they feel like, hey, it's about time we have women who are like basically on our side, like, seeing our perspective, seeing where we're coming from, and not just bashing us, and not just saying that
Mhm,
we're all just, deadbeats and bums. That there are women who actually see a logical perspective to what's happening, especially in the dating on the dating scene.
mm.
So yeah, they're mostly receptive to what I say, at least. And I think what most women who speak the way I speak, they're pretty much receptive to it and open to it.
I appreciate that because it's one thing as a guy engaging in this space and kind of seeing what the response has kind of been like.
Yeah.
Shockingly, most of the people who tend to have these very visceral negative reactions and responses,
Mhm.
they tend to be like content creators that I know 90% of them wouldn't actually have a conversation with me. And I definitely don't think they would actually debate me. So it's one of them strange spaces where it's like people are angry, but
Mhm.
not angry enough to actually do what me and you are doing.
Mhm.
Because I think what's concerning, I think what the real concern is that once they actually have to sit down and have an actual conversation with the person that they're disagreeing with so much, they actually have to say specifically what it is that they're disagreeing with you on. And
Right.
it's very easy when you're saying things that are very true, which I believe you are, and which is why you have well over 100,000+ subscribers. It's because you're actually just pointing out things that, and I think men will let you know if they thought you was full of it, like,
Yeah.
right? So real quick, before I even get to more questions, Son Seven said Jeff is the Arsenio Hall of YouTube. Listen, appreciate you, brother. I never view
That's
myself in that
crazy.
way, but hey, I'm gonna take it for sure. Thank you for the 199. And Mike of the Malice Leon's 008, $5. Appreciate you for the $5. My brother is on his way to interview the whole community. He is moving at warp speed with these interviews. Amazing. And hello to the guest in the building. Appreciate you, brother, for that $5 for sure. So we'll continue. Yeah, and I'm glad that you are normalizing a little bit of what it is I'm kind of experiencing when it
Yeah.
comes to just by and it comes with the territory. If you're going to be put
Right.
your opinions in the public space,
Yeah.
there's
For
good
sure.
and bad that kind of comes with that.
Yep.
One of the trends that I've been noticing, particularly this year in comparison to previous years, is women are beginning to notice a change in men's behavior, maybe finally, and when it comes to approaching them. Some
Yeah.
of them have mentioned men not approaching women in public as much as before, especially like in the workplace, when they're out with their friends, and even like at clubs, and especially with them speed dating events. From your vantage point, why aren't men approaching or chasing women in the way they used to?
I think you know that answer.
Listen, I know, but I also think that I think when men say it, I think a
Yeah.
lot of times people I do think that there is a space where sometimes your word and your perspectives from you, Crimson, Riva, and others, I feel like, and again, I'm not telling you what to give me an answer is.
Mhm.
I think I believe, and my audience may believe, but from your vantage point, somebody who's been doing this way longer, who is married and who has been doing this for quite a while and is very successful. From what you're seeing, what's your vantage point about why it is specifically? Because I think a lot of the ladies are stating men aren't men anymore, men aren't masculine anymore, and all this stuff in that. And I think that's what they're concluding is why men aren't taking initiative in this area anymore. From your vantage point, why aren't men chasing and approaching women to the same degree?
Well, it's their behavior. It's the behavior, the attitude, the entitlements, the expectations, all of the the expectations that they have from men these days for relationships is ridiculous in my opinion.
Mm,
What you expect from a man, the approach, men are probably one of the reasons they're probably scared to approach because of the attitudes that how they might, nobody wants to be. It's one thing, in my opinion, to be what's the word I'm looking for? Rejected, but it's how. And a lot of these women are just entitled. They think that they're better than average men. And so if
mm.
a man, a average man approach see a woman that he thinks is attractive, he don't know, he doesn't know what he's going to be met with. She could be like, ew, get away from me. Oh my God. Why you approach? They think that they're too cool for school. Like you can't approach them. If you do, it's like if they don't like you, it's like they treat you like you're something ill, something nasty. Like so if I was a man, I wouldn't approach either. The entitlements, the things that they're asking for, you got to make six figures. You got to pay their rent just to take them on a date. Like who in the hell is doing that? Like I wouldn't approach it. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, if I said if I was a man or just if I was single and dating in this era, I probably would just be single because especially being a
Right.
man, like what? Like that is weird to me. I talk about it all the time. The expectations, pay my
Mm.
rent, pay a bill. I need you to spend money on me without even knowing you. I coffee dates are for what they say, coffee dates or the bare minimum. Like you can't.
Yeah, 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 what is it? Cheesecake Factory coffee dates are now off limits in a lot
That's
of these
ridiculous.
women's eyes.
Yeah. So why would men continue to go out of their way to try to court or date women who think this way? Yes, an automatic turn off, in my opinion. Like, hell no, I wouldn't approach you either. I would walk right past you like you're invisible. I don't have time. That is ridiculous. I wouldn't approach either. So yeah, it's their behavior, their entitlements. They think because they have jobs and a degree that they're better than average men. And so they don't want
Mm,
average men. They want rich men, but they're not getting the rich men. And that's just what it is. You think
mhm.
that average men are beneath you and rich men don't want you. So that's
Average
how
men
I
are
see it.
beneath you, and most rich, high value men or most in demand men don't even want you,
No,
especially not for long-term commitment.
no,
That's it. That's the listen, we can stop the interview right there.
that's yeah.
That's lit. I loved how you articulated that because I've said similar things, but I don't think I've approached it in that way. I don't think the ladies realize they've effective most of them. I don't say most. Actually, I am going to say most.
A lot.
Most of them have made themselves unattractive even to men that they don't want. And I don't think that they realize it. Like, it's not just the men that they want that aren't seeing them as an attractive enough candidate for long-term commitment.
Mm,
It's also all the men that they look past.
yeah.
Now those men aren't even approaching them to the same degree. So
Yeah.
it's even the men that you were looking down on and the men that you think are below you and he's average and I'm not. No, 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 no. Even the men that you all are thinking is you would never give a chance to. Listen, ladies, a lot of y'all may hurt your own feelings if you start shooting your shot and seeing if you gonna get rejected because you're right. Men are taking notice, and I understand why this whole manosphere red pill space is so it infuriates women that it even
Oh,
exists. Um,
I don't like it.
from your vantage point about the whole concept of the manosphere and red pill, I'm seeing a lot of content creators who are trying to build their brand, trying to show that they're anti this space and
Mhm,
anti these type of discussions.
mhm.
As a person who's kind of been branded and grafted in, even if you didn't even volunteer for it,
Mhm.
from your vantage point, what do you think is the manosphere and your view of the red pill space, both good and bad?
Um, I just see it as a space that speaks up for men. Like I said, I was not familiar with it. I didn't know anything about it. The only thing I was familiar about was the MGTOW
Hmm.
kind of thing because my husband used to watch a little bit of that, but I didn't even know anything about the manosphere, none of it. I mean, I guess I just see it as a space that's educating men, like I guess trying to tell men, um, I guess how to better themselves and that's how I see it. I don't really know. I just see men trying to help other men. Um, when I got into it, listening to Kevin Samuels, and then I started becoming more familiar with other channels, um, I started to hear what they were saying and their perspectives. And I mean, and some of this, I don't know if I should go into that, but some of them, and I find that some of them didn't even get along. But anyway, that's a whole other story. Um, but I just saw them speaking on behalf of men and it's trying to get men to, I guess that's the manosphere. I'm not really sure.
Hmm.
But trying to get men to understand each other, I guess, or I don't know if they're trying to get them to understand women or build themselves up or become better, men more and get themselves together. I guess that's what it is. I'm not really sure, but that's what I've kind of was hearing. Um,
Hmm.
and I guess that's the bulk of it. I don't know because I haven't really. I still don't know everybody that's associated with it because I
Yeah.
came into it, but that wasn't. You know what I mean? Really I've been on YouTube a long time, but I haven't been in this space like as long as a lot of the guys in the spaces. So
Mhm.
basically, it seemed like they were just advocating for men and men bettering themselves and not, I guess, building themselves up in every way possible, just become better versions of themselves. I
Mhm.
mean, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, and this is the thing because I think what I've noticed is the people who are the strongest critics of it, their lenses they look at the worst examples
Yeah.
of people who are calling women, hoes and bees and all this other stuff, and they say that's the manosphere, and
Oh,
and any person, man or woman, that now engages in the stuff and they're not centered on feminist talking points, if
Mhm.
they don't use that female centered lens, but they try to be a little bit more objective, or even just advocating for families or men or anything other than women,
Yeah,
they basically lump everybody
yeah,
in the same category of whatever the worst version is of what they're describing the space for. And again, I'm one of these people that can acknowledge that the space does include both. Like the
okay,
manosphere space obviously has people who are just giving horrifically bad advice, just
yeah,
pandering to men, not challenging men to be better men, better fathers, better husbands, as
mhm,
much as everything that's wrong in your life is the result of women and women in society.
right,
I'm like, doesn't that sound exactly like what women are being pushed and with a lot
yeah,
of these content influencers and everything? So
yeah,
I'm trying to walk that fine line
yeah,
between encouraging men, sharing men's perspectives, but not treating it as such where there's no work that men need to do for, especially in terms of to fix the issue and situation that we're seeing in the culture right now. Um, so even from your vantage point, thoughts on dating single parents, because I think right now what I've noticed is a lot of shaming language and guilt is being kind of used as a mechanism to try to convince men that if they need to and should be open to, and that if they don't want to date single moms, there's an issue with him. And then I don't really ever hear as much guilt and shame on men's perspectives to try to get women to date men that have kids. So, like from your vantage point, just the thoughts of dating single parents as a whole, good and bad for men and for women.
I have sons. Okay. So let me just say, because I say this all the time. Listen, I think a lot of women don't get it until it's their son, until their son is dating, come home, mom, I'm dating this girl. She's 30 years old. She has three babies, three children, and I love her. Then she's gonna have a
Hold on.
problem.
See, we could pause right there. Just realize what she just said, that
You
a
know,
lot of ladies don't get it and don't understand it until they have a son of their own and is of
yeah.
age where he's actually in the situation. My bad. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah, I think that's more than likely the time when they'll understand it for real. I think they get it, to be honest. I don't think they're that dumb. I think they get it. They just don't want to because it's no benefit. It's beneficial to them to find a man who's productive and probably doesn't have any kids and he makes good money. It would be beneficial for her to get him because he can provide for her and her kids. So I don't think they're oblivious to it. I think they just don't like it. So the part of
Mm,
the reason why I don't believe they like our talking points, the manosphere or any, because they say, oh, the men shouldn't be talking, take their microphones away, but they don't want to hear the women talking either. So they don't want to hear us talking, black women, we all black. They don't want to hear us either. So yeah, you just don't want to hear it because it doesn't benefit you. So as long as it's beneficial to you, you want that to be promoted. But anything that
mm,
doesn't benefit you or add to you, you don't want to hear it because it requires you to do something differently. But yeah, I would not recommend, honestly, because I wouldn't want my sons to bring home a 30-year-old woman with three kids talking about you want to marry her. I would not promote it. I
mm,
always say this too, though. I can't control others. If you meet a woman and she has a kid, or if she got three, if that's what you want to do, of course we can't stop you. If that's what you want to do, by all means do it. I wouldn't condemn you for doing it, but I
mm,
don't think I will also I'm also not going to promote men, especially men who don't have kids, to date single mothers. I'm
mhm,
just not, because I think you should be focusing on creating your own families, not taking
mm,
care of somebody else's. That's just what it is. It's not a knock to the women. It doesn't mean they're bad people. It
mhm,
just means you made some bad choices, and you got to figure that out. Now, if once again, there are men out here who have dated single mothers and married them, and they have a good life, and that's great if y'all can work it out. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's not something I would promote. Oh, because there are women out here who are literally saying, y'all should be happy and proud to date single mothers. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that.
yeah, I appreciate you saying that. And hey, I listen, I got friends, I got family that are single
Yeah,
moms, and I wish the
of
best for them
course.
and all of that, right?
Yeah.
But it's true that I think even they themselves would agree with you that if they had sons as well, they also wouldn't highly recommend that. Now, what I would recommend, believe it or not, is to fix and resolve this issue. If people cannot and will not return to the person who helped give them the child in the first place, I actually think the starting point, I agree with you, is not them trying to date and do life with people who don't have any children and have none of that experience. I
Right.
actually think it's actually s- going dating and potentially building a relationship with another single parent. Like I think
Yeah.
that that's I think that that's a potential
Mhm.
means where I think a couple things will happen. One, now you have somebody that gets it, somebody that understands the time management, that understands how our schedules are subject to change, where
Right.
they understand that all that 100% of their time is not always going to be available. You're not going to take this person who is used to just doing their own thing and then trying to make them conform and accept
Mhm.
a lifestyle that they've never been living when you have a single father who knows much of what it is it's like to be a single parent, understands the dynamics, potentially understands co-parenting arrangements. I think that if you can't do life with the person who was good enough to have the child with, the
Mhm.
secondary option, I think, is to start focusing on people who are actually single parents as well. I think that that could help and leave the single people with no children to their respective groups, and
Mhm.
then the single people with children to their respective groups. I actually think that that will help shift a lot of this unnecessary tension and judgment that I think is kind of unnecessary. Like you can't listen, y'all can't guilt trip people. And again, men in mass are not doing this. We're trying to
No.
shame women into dating single fathers. So
Right.
really, this is a little lopsided issue. And ladies, like, you never want to get with a man that you had to guilt and shame into being with you. So that's
No.
not
Well, a lot of
yeah.
times these women, some of these women don't even be attracted to the guy with, that they're trying to get with.
Mm.
Too. That's a whole nother stuff. But what
No, no, no. It's not just another story. We're gonna stay right there.
a
This
lot
is the bailout kings. I call them bailout kings personally.
child.
These are the people, these are the dudes that bail women out at the
Yeah.
end of the road of their bad decisions.
Yeah.
And you're right. A lot of the guys they end up with after they slept with 30, 40, 50 guys and got all these extra kids, that guy at the end that's like, yay, me, that's not that we know that wouldn't have been your first choice because we saw who your
Right.
first choice was before. We, so it's one of those where it's like I wouldn't personally recommend it. But I would recommend, like I said,
Mhm.
both parties potentially being single parents and
Mhm.
seeing if they can figure out a way where their co-parenting schedules and their ability to do life and understand each other's schedules and lifestyle. If they
Yeah.
got healthy boundaries with the other parents involved, I could see how that could potentially be more beneficial than trying to shame and target men who have no kids and hoping for the best with this. To me personally,
But
um,
even the men, even if that was to work, what about the financial aspect? Because if he has
mm,
say he has 2, 3 kids from a previous marriage and she's coming with 3, like, is he prepared to take her and all those kids? It's the burden, the financial burden is still gonna be on the man.
yeah,
And I
it
think
can be.
that's something to think about. If you might be able to, you're gonna have to overperform. You're gonna have to go the extra mile to take on her and her kids too. So that's another aspect to it, to where a lot of men just probably wouldn't want to do that. Because some of these men might have a son, one child,
Hmm.
and he's good with his one, and then here she come with 3, who knows, 4, 5, and she want him to come in and pay all. Then they don't want to go 50-50. Remember that. They don't even want to participate
Oh,
financially, and they work. They want you to come and pay all the bills. You gotta pay
listen,
all the bills. You gotta pay for
uh-huh.
all the trips. You gotta be damn near rich. So even a rich man don't wanna settle for that because he don't have to. Like, why would he wanna take nobody is settling for that. Nobody. Nobody
Uh,
wants to take you on and all of that. They're not even if it was a woman that was cooperative, like, who was willing to say, "You know what? Let's work together," as it should be, in my opinion.
mhm,
Relationships, you should be willing to work together. So even if it was if it was a woman who was like, "Hey, I wanna work with you. Imma meet you halfway. I know I come in with this baggage." The
yeah,
kids are a blessing, but
mhm.
they cost. It's money. So you coming in already with this extra stuff, you could be a good woman and you might be a good mate to that person, but you gotta be cooperative still. You're coming in at a disadvantage. So why not
Mhm.
come in with a cooperative openness to say, look, I'm in it, we're gonna work, I'm gonna do everything I can. that would be a little bit more acceptable. But just coming in with this attitude and the extraness is just why so many men are thrown off. You're not even
Mm,
open to working with the man, even though you're coming in with all of this baggage. If she was a good woman and she
mhm,
want to work with you, I could see a man say, you know what, I really like her. If he really likes her and she looks like he want and she has all of the things he want, I could see some men saying, you know what, let me see. But attitude, oh well, I need you to do this and what you not gonna do, and I got 3 kids, you gotta take care of me and my kids, and I ain't paying not a bill, and I coming with attitude. Nobody who
mm-mm,
got time for that.
mm-mm. And the crazy part is the shame and the viciousness that they'll respond when a guy says, "Oh, I don't date single mothers," or
Yeah,
"Nah, I'm not signing up to do that." That's only coming from a place of hurt and knowing the truth already and not
yeah,
being willing to publicly acknowledge and accept it. But my stance and lens, and I've tried to say this, and I hope when I do an episode on single parents and single moms specifically, on whether it's a good deal or bad deal, my feedback with women who have more bills, responsibilities, and expenses and liabilities that comes with them in comparison to other women that's just as beautiful or more beautiful and or younger is your femininity and softness and what you offer that men are wanting needs to be actually higher than the women who are your single non-parent counterparts.
exactly.
The way in which you stand out when you have this other stuff going on
Mhm,
is you don't come in with the entitlement and the demands. You actually show actual appreciation.
mhm.
You show genuine care and interest. Instead of always constantly wanting him to be the one to initiate where we're going or asking how's your day or whatever, why don't you lead with the things that you know most men care about?
Just be
Him
selfish.
being showing interest in him, asking if he ate today or if you can stop by and drop off some lunch for him.
Modern women,
That's not happening for most modern women, period, whether they got kids or not.
'cause
So
they're
I'm gonna
selfish.
I'm gonna tell you, if I was a single dude and I have two choices, I got a woman who's 25, 28 to 25, 28, single, no children, um, half and half with the attitude, doesn't show a lot of interest. Clearly, he's playing some games. I got to keep begging her to get her attention to even get her out on a date. And she got all these lists of demands of where we can and can't go.
Mm,
And then I got a woman that just wants to be around me, is making my meals, is looking out for me, is asking if there's ways in which she can support my dreams and aspirations and goals. She's going to actually make this a real legitimate conversation, even for the staunchest dudes. Like, I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to do that. You going to start reaching out to that lawyer and talking about that prenup
right.
because the woman that leads with that, like you said, is so rare. I can see how some men will still be open to dating a single mom or a single
Mhm,
parent, period, if she leads with the things that most women that have no children or women, period, are leading with. So
mhm.
I think that there's still hope for that. I just hope that women realize, like what you're saying, is you can't come in with the strong laundry list of demands. You don't have the leverage. In fact, you have less leverage because you're bringing in these other dudes. I mean,
Right.
bringing in these other people, other man's children. Thoughts on feminism? I've been wanting every time the women commentators are coming on and psychologists and everybody. I always want to know what's y'all viewpoint on the pros and cons of feminism and what it's done to society as a whole.
Uh, I think feminism, the cons to it is it's created these independent boss chicks that are ruining the dating pool for sure.
Mm,
It's created a bunch of entitled, spoiled, independent women, which kind of is leading to what I see the demise of the family structure. Um, I mean, the only thing I could think of when it comes to any pros to it is the fact that, I guess when you think about women talk about certain injustices and things that kind of relate to them having certain laws in their favor. The only thing that I hear most women talking about when it comes to that is like laws to keep them from to make them to help them be allowed to delete babies. That's I mean they would point that out as if that's a good thing. I don't if that makes sense.
hmm
I
hmm
see him say that. Other things, I guess in I took a little note of that workplace discrimination and things of that nature. But when
Mhm.
it comes to what I think really matters, the family structure, I think that's taken away from that, and I think that's causing the issues that we're seeing now when it comes to creating the nuclear family and building wealth with your family. I think that's the downside of it, and I think that's the major downside of it. But I don't think a lot of women
Mhm.
see it as such. I think they look at the importance of being able to have a career and get equal pay, as men and things of that nature. I think they put more emphasis and uh, more emphasis on that. They see that as a bigger win. They don't see the family dynamic, a husband, a wife, and children as a way to grow and to grow our community. They don't see that as a flex. They see being an
Mhm.
independent woman, being able to have a career as a flex. And I think that's part of the problem. I think it's created that the type of women that we're talking about, where they look at men in a black men, let's say that black men in a negative light, and they think that they're better because they have careers and degrees and they could become an entrepreneur. There's more weight on becoming an entrepreneur. Women don't look at being a housewife and being a wife, period, to a man, especially a black man, as any type of flex or reward. They look at that as slavery, like, oh my God, you just doing what he say. I've experienced it
Mhm.
too. And that's what I went through, being married for over 20 something years. It's like I've gotten that and I just didn't understand it. But the short time that I worked, in my younger years, I didn't work very long because I was married and then a housewife.
Mhm.
That was looked at as, "Oh my god, you're not taking care of yourself," as it was a bad thing. The same thing that women
Mhm.
complain about now. Women
Mhm.
complain about wanting to have a man to take care of it, but they want it in a different sense. They don't really wanna be housewives because that's not glamorous enough, you know what I mean? Being
Yeah.
home, cooking, cleaning, taking care of kids is the slavery life that they don't want, but
Mhm.
they want it in a sense of a man taking care of them. See, your
Mhm.
husband going to work, working hard, taking care of his average family, making sure that they're good. The wife at home making sure that the kids are learning and they're taken care of. You're feeding them proper meals.
Mhm.
Your husband don't have to worry about that. He just got to go to work and make sure he's, making sure that his family is good. That's
Mhm.
not a life of traveling and jet setting and going
Yep.
out with your girlfriends 24/7 every weekend and all that. See, that's what they want. They want a lifestyle, but
Mhm.
they're putting it under, "Oh, a man ain't a man if he can't take care of everything." No, you want a man to take care of a lifestyle, not you and a
Mhm.
family. Because you don't want you they couldn't do what me and what I've done and others have done because it wasn't glamorous. And they
Mhm.
didn't they want a glamorous lifestyle and that's it. You don't wanna be a wife for real. They don't wanna be
Mhm.
that for real from what I'm seeing. You want something fancy, and that's not being
Mhm.
at home with kids all day. So that
Outs Listen, outside of equal protections, like you said, in the workforce and in general, um, voting rights, obviously, and a couple other maybe, important integral things, I think it's been a horrible, destructive force. I think that it's given them license to do everything that it was that they felt their mothers and grandmothers couldn't do, and it's taught them that they can do it in a way where they expect men to not judge them for it or people or society to judge them for it.
Mhm.
Feminism's basically said you can do, act, and be as autonomous and free as you want
Right.
in a culture and society where other people can see you.
Right.
Like, and then at the end, and I think it's also taught them you can have it all. You could do it all, you could have it all simultaneously, and I think that's again the issue is the real world application of this stuff. It doesn't even pan out and lead to the outcomes that most of them like. I think what happens is I use a celebrity sometimes. So Meg Thee Stallion and Sierra to me are like really good, great examples where they'll go to the original guys that they actually wanted at
Mhm.
first. And then
Yeah.
when it doesn't work, you can display, show, dance, act however you want, give potentially your body and or children to said men,
Right.
and then there will be these really good, the nice guys at the end. There will be the guy that your shining knight that's going to be there at the end. And I think they keep forgetting two things. These women are famous
Mhm.
and they're above average in terms of the average woman, in
Mhm.
terms of looks. So it's like pretty privilege, Hollywood privilege is real. And the same thing with Cardi B, where it's like they take these examples and think it's going to translate into their
No.
everyday lives. And again, they're convinced that it's not the men that's pushing and telling you that this is what's always going to be at the end. It's the feminist ideology and women who believe in it, who's convincing you and telling you you're the prize, you deserve. If things don't work out, he's the one who lost out. Like
Yeah, but
that's
then they be like Sierra and all. You be 300-400 pounds saying that, like big women, like I'm just saying, like saying exactly that. Like what the hell? That's why I say, yeah,
here's the thing. They don't even look they don't even look like Sierra. Like this the
no,
crazy
400
part.
pounds
Like,
sitting there talking about I'm the prize. Yeah,
bro,
I won't wrestle it. I
what's
won't.
her name? Sarah Fontenot. Sarah Fontenot just got engaged not too long ago, right? Attractive woman. She's in her early 40s.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
A lot of y'all don't look like Sarah. So
Mhm.
like this does not apply. Like this doesn't apply to about 80% of y'all. Like, and I'm like, I know the truth is that what I'm doing, what you're doing, and others are trying to do is both holding up a mirror to culture to
Yeah,
let people know and say, yo, this is how us as a community is looking. This is how us as men are looking. This is how our women are looking. And if you want better outcomes, if your outcomes, if your actions are leading to the current outcomes you have, and this is how you're looking, this is how you need to move on the opposite end to at least, give yourself a fighting chance to find something meaningful out here in terms of legitimate relationships. That's really what we're doing in this space. And that's what I think you're doing, honestly.
you know
Um,
what? You got to put in the work though. And,
mhm,
marriage is work. That's what I tell people too.
yeah.
You don't just get married and then think, "Oh, now it's kumbaya, I don't do anything." No, you still
Hmm.
gotta work on that thing. You just can't sit there and think it's gonna, flourish by itself. You gotta work on
Hmm.
that, but, so if you don't even wanna work on a relationship and you don't even wanna work on yourself, if you 400
Hmm.
pounds, you don't even wanna hit the gym. Like,
Yep.
come on now, you sitting there talking about you the prize and take me as I am, and if you can't take me at my worst, I don't want you at my best. He don't want you there. He just don't want you, period, and he gonna move on. Like, I don't understand, and that's the part that gets me. Honestly, I try not to go there, but I'm forced to in my mind because I'm
Hmm.
like, "What y'all are delusional." It's a level of delusion that I have never seen. It's that mentality, I think that feminist mindset, like, I could do anything, like you said, and whatever, a man just supposed to take me. No, no man, most men not you got chubby chasers, but most men don't want them big old bras, like, and then y'all be walking around here like you everything and entitled, and I need you to do this and do that, and he be say, "Let's walk around the park." I can't do it. Yeah, because you tired. Like, a lot going on, and I really just think, they need to be a little bit more realistic. You might be a
Yeah.
nice person, but nobody's gonna see the niceness. All the other stuff is gonna overshadow that. Why
Hmm.
would you want? And then you want to rich all this money. He got to have all this money, 300,000 a year, and you 400. What man? No man. I don't think no man. He don't have to make 300,000. Hell, he can
Uh,
make 50,000, 40,000. I don't think he want big women like that. I'm just
yeah.
saying, work on yourself.
Again, listen, like you said, there's definitely men who that's their preference. It is what it is. But for as a single woman, if I was talking with a man, right, and he's sloppily dressed, broke, um, receding the hairline, he just got everything is bad and wrong, right?
Right.
And he tells me, listen, there's some women out there that actually don't have these expectations and they're okay. And I say, listen, bro, that might be true. Highly unlikely. Not a lot of women. Your goal is to make yourself as appealing and attractive to as many women as possible so that you have legitimate options as far as suitors.
Exactly.
So you're not aiming for the anomaly. You're not aiming for the one or two people out of 100 or 1,000 that may be interested in you. You want the 1,000 to want you, and now you get to decide the best of the best from that batch.
Mhm.
For ladies, every time you say there's something you don't want to change, there's something you think you don't need to improve upon because you know there's some man, mystery man who ain't there right now that's going to tolerate and accept it. Imagine if you put the time, like Dee is saying, in the energy in the gym, in your mindset, and how you dress. And listen, y'all spend so much money on clothing and Amazon. What if you spent that money on finishing school, etiquette classes?
Read some books, do something.
Read some damn books that's not the raunchy novels that just tell you about how much you want a man to spank and beat the hell out of you. How about reading a damn book that actually helps you to actually have a coherent conversation about politics, about pop culture, about history, about
Mhm.
anything other than just what's happening on reality TV? Like when you start doing those things, you're just naturally going to stand out from most of the women who aren't doing much of any of these self-improvement things.
Yeah,
There, a lot of ladies' view of self-improvement is external things in terms of makeup and hair.
yeah, that's
That in their mind, that's self-improvement. That's leveling up,
mhm,
not their heart, not their mouth, not their mindset, and not their general disdain and attitude towards men and men in general.
mhm.
It's the type of makeup and hair that I got, and now I'm a bad B, and now I deserve the best.
Exactly.
I'm like, come on, y'all.
400 pounds, a bust down wig, 6'13" blonde, long fingernails, you
Like bats.
wig, a dress on with the cutouts, with so the fat you can see the fat. Come on, let me show it to you. Like that's attractive. I'm
Mhm,
a 10 because society told me I'm a 10, and men need to will be lucky to be with me. You know what I mean? It's like
mhm,
that
mhm,
type of rhetoric is what I hear, and that's just now the men they'll sleep with you because that's what makes these women. This is why I say the guys who sleep with these women are the ones who are motivating them to think that way. Because
mhm.
with
But they
the
still getting sexual attention. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of women, most women, most women aren't deep thinkers. Let's just be honest. Most women are not deep thinkers.
Mm,
Most women are surface level. We like, you know, shallow things. Um,
mhm.
and why did I say that? I don't know. I said that for a reason. I forgot what that's part of getting old. Um, yeah, I mean, it's they think I said that to say a lot, and it's not every there's some very intelligent women out here, smart
No,
women.
for
I
sure.
know a lot of them, but then there's that's the other group. So we talking about the other group. It's like if a man sleeps with you or DM you and say grand rising beautiful, the same,
Mhm.
she's taking that personally. She's like, "Oh my god," it boosts her ego. She's like, "I know I'm a bad B." You know what I mean? No matter if they talking about I need to lose weight. I don't need to lose weight. I
Right.
look good because he told me I look good. You look good. You looking fine and all this, and that goes to their head. I don't think a lot of men realize how women respond to that, how that affects the way
Nah.
they think. A lot of women. That's why I said they're shallow thinkers. Like you could women try to play tough on the surface, but a lot of
Uh-huh.
women are not that tough. It's like they could be feeling bad one day and a dude DM them and grand rising beautiful, you looking good today. It's gonna make her feel good. Quite naturally, it'll make
Mm,
her feel good. And if she keeps getting that, it's like validation,
mhm,
constant level of validation to let her know that she's still worthy, that she looks good. And
mhm.
that's like her way of saying the naysayers, I don't need to listen to that. I don't need to
Yeah.
do anything. I'm good enough. And they take it that
Mm,
way and they respond. They think that that's how men see them and how all men see them. And when they don't get when a man is not taking them seriously, he just sleep with them and ghost them. They're crying and they're upset because they really thought it meant something.
mhm. Real quick, because I got a bunch of super chats I want to get through real quick. Dr. Vince Johnson, 9.99. The reason why this show has not been stopped is because he is bringing on female co-hosts who are being eloquent and I don't know if he's calling you a beige builder. I'm not sure what he means
What that
by
mean?
that. I'm not sure. But when you tell the truth, there was always pushback. Appreciate you, Dr. Vince, for that for sure. Thanks for everything. 117, $5, Jeff. Thanks for bringing on Dee Dee. I'm subscribed to you both. Appreciate you for sure.
Thank you.
A good old great faithful man himself, Eric Lloyd in the building. 8059. Appreciate you for the gift, good sir. For gifting some people with the memberships. Trackstar X2, $5 in the past. The harsh rejection was the most, but now you can lose your life, job, and get taken advantage of. And men have way too much to lose. Yeah, man, and definitely in reference to why I think a lot of men are just moving different. They're moving smarter. They're exercising their options either outside of their cities, outside of their racial groups, potentially outside of the damn country.
Right.
So men are adapting. And I think the ladies who recognize this, you better start adapting too. Unless your butt is if you this I said it before, ladies, what version of a woman, a quality of women did a lot of you have to be that men are willing to travel hundreds of thousands of miles away to replace you? what version of femininity or more so what it means to be a woman what have you done with the image of women in America and in the West in general, to where men are opting out of marriage, relationships, potentially children, and definitely going to other countries if they have the option to do so? You realize how bad that has to be? I
Mm,
know when you grow up watching Oprah and The View and all these other shows, you won't hear this other side of the internet. And I guess one way of viewing this is it's just bashing. The other way of viewing it is like, damn, maybe we do got some legitimate
yeah.
work to do. Like, I just know that if I had no options with women, my argument wouldn't personally be that, well, it's just the women. I would be looking at, well, hold on, he gets women and he gets women and I don't. Maybe something's going on with me. It's not like no women are getting married. No women
Right,
are ever being
right.
approached.
That's true.
Some are. And if
Yeah,
you're not, and if you're not getting the outcomes you want, maybe you should start surrounding yourself with the women who have what you want, are where you want to
for
be.
sure.
And if you find out that they're actually genuinely happy with what they have, find out what they're doing. And listen, I would argue y'all gotta start being around couples. Y'all
I
gotta
say it all the time. I say it
when
all
you
the time. I
yeah.
tell people, I say, listen, surround yourself around the people who have what you want. And my thing is this, I believe you can have what you want, but you can't have it all at once. I think you can have it all, but not all at the same time. I
Yep.
said, but you got to do, there's a way to do that though. You
Mhm.
can't start trying to be a boss chick first. If women have a biological clock, then you need to focus on that family first, in my opinion. Start when you're young,
Mm.
have that, get your, that's how I see it. If you can do that and make that work, you can always come back and start a career or start, some hobbies or things later.
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
I'm that. That's what I am.
Yep.
That's why I know it could happen. And I'm just
Yep.
saying, I think women are way too focused on the wrong things, but you're
Mhm.
trying to push and manifest an outcome that are not aligned with. And so it's why it's difficult.
Um, real quick, y'all. If you listen, about we've been hovering around 300 plus people in this live, and I know I ain't got 300 likes. So if you haven't liked this video, please make sure that you do. Please become a subscriber if you haven't subscribed to this channel. Absolutely, absolutely. If you want to support the channel, and definitely become a member, it's $2.99 to become a channel member for sure. I'm actually going to be doing some perks in December for members, so stay tuned for those announcements for sure as well. And last but not least, make sure that you guys send this to 2 or 3 people, because I believe this is a really dope, great conversation, especially for the younger crowd of people who are still at least interested in the prospects of potentially dating. And even maybe somebody else is sick of it. Maybe if you hear these type of discussions, both for ladies right now, but then we're going to transition talking a little bit more about men, I think it could be very helpful. So just a couple more quick super chats. Sir Francis, Dee Dee, how did you feel about your husband tuning in to Men Going Their Own Way content? Yeah, what were your thoughts about that?
I didn't even know. I don't look. He could watch whatever you want. I mean, as far as that, he just was telling me about it one time. I noticed it was years ago. He was I heard it, like him watching it. I didn't know what it was, but that was my first time hearing it. I had no thoughts about it, honestly. I just saw it and I'm
Mhm.
like, "Oh." And he would tell me from time to time about some of the men, how they just he literally said some of those men hated women because of their
Mhm.
experiences that they've been through. And they just, they've been dogged out by their ex-wives and all of that. And now they just like hate it. I can't stand no women, So he was just
Mhm.
telling me about it. And I guess I mean, there's some reasoning behind it, you if you for you to think that way, but I didn't think of no one way or other of him watching it at all.
Well, now ladies have problems with men watching the red pill
Oh, yeah. Oh,
manosphere
that.
stuff, especially men that they're in relationships with. And my view is
Yeah.
it depends on who he's watching. That's true.
Okay.
If he's watching someone who's just telling the truth,
Mhm.
she may be not used to a guy who's called her out on her manipulation tactics and her
Mm.
strategies. And
Mhm.
then when he starts realizing, oh shit, she withholds sex from me quite a
Mhm.
bit whenever. Oh,
Mhm.
stuff. She's always throwing the divorce card on me, or she never apologizes or takes oh shit. And
Mhm.
then when you start realizing how much they get away with, and you start calling them out on, I don't like this red pill stuff. They're divisive.
Mhm.
No, what's actually truly divisive for a lot of you ladies is actually your own behavior, and that men are just now starting to acknowledge it, and they're now realizing that when men start respecting themselves more
Yeah.
and start recognizing who they are, a lot of women have been conditioned to believe they can only do relationships with men who don't do that. because the moment a man recognizes his value and recognizes what he should and shouldn't tolerate from people, especially women and the woman in his life, now all of a sudden there's major issues. It's
Yeah.
because a lot of you can't actually do meaningful long-term relationships with men unless it's happy wife, happy life.
Yeah, and I
And
think that's the problem.
yep. And I think the happy wife, happy life thing goes out the window the
Yeah.
more and more men engage in this content. My view is happy spouse, happy house. Where
Yeah,
I think if both parties see each other trying, both parties are making sacrifices, and both parties are trying to do what they can to serve the other,
mhm.
in the end, we'll be fine. Not one person happy and the other person's a slave. And I think that's the most ideal, healthiest like approach long term. Connor White Wolf says 4.99. The kids should just go to the father after 12. Boys in the Hood showed that, and that was the best thing she did in the movie. I personally agree. I think the data speaks for itself. It's quite obvious. Obviously, there's definitely exceptions to the rule. You know, my mom, when my parents split, my primary person who stayed with me, and I stayed with my mom, and my father was still in the picture to a degree. But I think in the grand scheme of it, more outcomes, even if parents or can't stay together, our outcomes will probably be better because the outcomes tend to say that single father households are very comparable to two parent households
Mhm.
when it comes to their outcomes in every major statistical measurable category. So,
Mhm.
you know, I agree with that. So appreciate the gift, Connor. Hey, Eric Lloyd, that's what I'm talking about. My brother is already starting the night off right with the 200 bang. I was wondering what everybody was commenting about. Appreciate you, bro, for again. Listen, this is the reason why I got to keep doing the lives, because when Eric pulls up, he always gonna try to make sure your boy is doing well for sure. Appreciate you, King David, for the $5 as well. Hey, Mika and Dr. L, I saw you earlier tuning in. Appreciate you, brother, for tuning in. Shout out to you, Mika. Lib feminists have messed it up for all of us. Yeah, I obviously just posted something on YouTube where I just said to stop dating liberal feminists. I just think that that's the starting point. Like, we can keep talking about this stuff, but the easiest way to not be nearly as affected by it is recognize what the ideology is, who it is that tends to, what their talking points are, what their voting approaches are, what their stances are when it comes to anything that's unequal that's a benefit to women. If they don't want it to be equal and they don't want it to change, that's not the woman you want to impregnate, have children with,
Right.
and give all these access to these resources to. You want
And
to avoid.
a lot of those lib feminists are overweight, I'm just saying.
Well, we got to remember their view is a lot of times they'll say, well, what I'm doing, what I'm wearing isn't for the male gaze, right? So that's fine. They'll say it's for themselves. That's fine too. Fellas, believe them. When they say this is for me, this ain't for you, believe it. When she says, I don't need a man, I want a man, believe them. I think men would actually do much better if we actually, the crazy thing is men will say, don't listen to women and don't do. Actually, I think men should pay attention to what women say.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh my God. Hell yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, yes, they should.
Pay
And
attention to them.
don't look at the booty and the beauty. Listen to what they're saying. Because a lot of men are
Mhm.
distracted by that. I said that before. You see a fine, cute woman that you like, you just your brain, you lose it. No,
Yep.
listen, she gonna let you know what she's about. Just
Yep.
pay attention. A lot of things go miss because of that. And it's like, I don't care. Some of them like, I don't care what she's saying. Oh my God. I just, and that's how you
Mm-mm.
mess up. And then when the hellion shows up, then you're like, oh damn, bruh, you talking
And
to
act
your
shocked.
friends. Yeah, you
Mhm.
like, man, she acting the fool. Like, you didn't pay it, you was blinded. No, pay attention. Pay attention to
Mhm.
what they're saying, because they really will tell you everything you need to know if you're listening.
Facts. And two more. Mrs. Smell the Roses for sure. Appreciate you. Go Dee Dee. Appreciate you for the 1999 for sure, and welcoming me on in your panel with your group of content creators as well. They welcomed me on their show like a week ago, and it was super fun and dope. We was cutting it up with each other. Mauricio, again appreciate you for the $2 as well. Fight for you. I wouldn't fight for you on track.
Mauricio.
Right. So listen, y'all, I appreciate oh my gosh, the comments. Jesus. It went from 90 to 200 in the last 10 minutes. All right. So listen, y'all, please make sure that you like this if you haven't. Please make sure you send it to 2 or 3 people if you haven't done so. I think this is going to be very, 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 very helpful. And especially for the second half, where I want to focus a little bit more on men. from your vantage point, D, what are some things that men are getting or doing wrong in relationships in the dating market today from your vantage point?
Mm, what men are doing wrong when it comes to dating? Um, I don't know. The only thing I can think of is maybe expecting certain things out of certain women. I mean, I'm not in the date out there, but I think maybe um expecting certain women to be more traditional, or trying to force women who are just not traditional women to take on traditional roles. Maybe that might be a part of it.
Mhm.
Just looking at women and expecting certain things out of certain women that you're just never going to get. That could be one thing. As far as I can't answer that honestly. Like what,
Mhm.
like for real. I don't know. Like I know men are learning things about women and their nature and what they shouldn't, like you just said, and what they shouldn't and should accept when it comes to the behavior of some women.
Mhm.
But when it comes to men and what they're getting wrong, I don't. Maybe communication could be something that I think we all could work on,
Mhm.
for sure. I mean, you can never, you should always be working on how you communicate and how you come across to especially the person that you're with, for sure,
Mhm.
and others, but mainly the person that you're with. So I think communication, the way you approach, your expectations of a person, expecting these modern women, to be traditional. I don't think we're ever gonna get a fully traditional woman anymore. I think that's I don't know if that's realistic. I think a lot of
Mhm.
women have traditional values, but to be like fully traditional, just, I don't know. I think they've been exposed to too much for the most part. But
Mm.
that's the only thing I could think of as far as men.
Yeah, I got some ones that I've been thinking about because I've been thinking about this question for a while as I'm working on a particular project of focusing on different types of men and different types of women, and how to kind of like categorize them and kind of describe them. I
Mhm.
think one of the actually I think this is number one on the list. Dick discipline. Dick discipline is number one on the list for why so much of what we're dealing with. I keep saying this in every space because I know the ladies think I'm being so hard on them. Dick discipline is the reason for why I would say 80% of what we're dealing with. 80% of what we're talking about, the entitlement in women, the bad behavior, the women getting access to children, rings, weddings, homes, bank accounts, retirement accounts. The lack of dick discipline has caused so much damage to men because they entertain women they should have ran away from. They
Right.
kept women that they should have let go of. They tolerated things that they would normally never tolerate with anybody else.
Mhm.
And I think the lack of sexual discipline, and I've seen it in my own life, I've seen it in the lives of friends and family members that I've grown up with, and just all the famous men that we come across all the time. Most scandals with men and issues with men and drama with men, if it's not violence, like like a violent issue, which isn't the case for most majority of men in the country,
Mhm.
it's issues with women, and it's usually related to a lack of sexual discipline.
But why
My
do you think that, why do they have it? Because is it because they don't get much, so they gotta, like, deal with the
mm-mm,
drama to get it? So,
it's
like,
a combo. It's a combo. So you have the guys on the one extreme
yeah,
that get so little attention
yeah.
that they're just grateful to whenever they do get the opportunity. This is where the simp culture comes from. This
Mm,
is where guys are just grateful to get any type of female attention and validation,
mhm,
even if it's not good attention, even if it's not
right.
positive, even if she doesn't even like him. It's the
Mhm,
fact is, I'm just lucky to even get access to a woman, so I'll tolerate anything she does, whatever. They'll tolerate her flirting with other guys. Just they'll tolerate her controlling behavior on his end while simultaneously her promoting it and advertising herself on her end, and he can't speak on it with how she dresses, with what she posts. So the lack of dick discipline and then the standards and boundaries that should accompany that is a double-edged thing. It's not just about deciding who to have sex with and who not to. It's
mhm,
also about the things that's associated with that. When we're as men having sex with women that don't respect us or who we don't respect,
mhm,
we're 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 feeding into the environment that we're complaining about.
mhm.
because you can't complain about everybody got the high body count and you keep running up everybody else's body count while increasing your own.
Mhm.
So that's a lack of sexual discipline. Now, I understand this marriage is not for everybody, and some people don't want to be monogamous. It is what it is. But my view and lenses is that I think a lot of guys that, even the guys that's opted out, when they look back in time, if they had looked at other factors, other red flags, other areas of points, the things that we're teaching men and exploring with men in these type of discussions, if they had paid attention to more things other than just whether or not she's attractive and cute and gives me good sex, which is debatable for some men's perspectives, then I think that a lot of what we end up finally experiencing as men in terms of heartbreak, in terms of divorces, in terms of a lot of stuff, we wouldn't even gotten to that point. But because we're not being led by this, but we being led by that,
Mhm.
that's why a lot of these women are as entitled and as has such bad attitudes, and they know there'll always be a bailout king on the other side. They know that there's always going to be a guy that will fall for the dress, fall for the sexuality, fall for this or fall for that. So like I think that's number one on the list for me personally is a lack of sexual discipline and the boundaries and standards that should accompany that. And then number two, with those standards, actual self-respect.
Mhm.
I think probably the reason why things have gotten this bad is because most men don't even know how to respect themselves when a woman is in the picture. Their
Mm.
view is a lot of guys, this is why men going their own way. Their view of how to maintain self-respect is not doing life with women at all. As if there's not a third option, which is how do you maintain respect for yourself and make sure the people that are in your life, friends and the woman in your life, treat you with that respect.
Hmm.
A lot of guys, I think, in their head, either because they don't understand how to get that respect or maintain that respect, believe that that's only tangibly possible if they do life alone.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's what men going like, what I'm saying? Black pill men going their
Oh,
own
okay.
way and also the stuff like part of that is a response to I don't like how I'm treated, I don't like how I'm viewed, and because I have such self-respect, I'm not going to play this game anymore. The juice isn't worth the squeeze.
Mhm.
There's also the other element of, well, how do some people have really decent relationships and how do they maintain relationships and they have mutually good respect between the husband and the wife, the boyfriend and girlfriend? How do they do it and you think it's not possible? I
Mhm.
think it's that piece. They haven't learned and or cared to figure out how to explore how do I maintain self-respect so that I'm not being taken advantage of, not being abused, not having to elevate and prop up and acknowledge her feelings and emotions and always having to downplay and ignore mine.
Mhm.
You have to do life with you just have to intentionally choose to do life and reward the people in your life that respects you. It's easier said than done for sure, but I think a lack of respect, a lack of legitimate values, and a lack of sexual discipline are all things that I think if men in mass, even just another 20% of men truly embrace that,
Mhm.
we would see the market totally different. You're already seeing the LGBTQ people who would identify with being able to change their gender and ideology left and right. Now that's declining in
Mm.
high schools.
Mm.
Now you're seeing women now 5 years ago, it was totally normal for a lot of women to just self-identify if asked that they're feminists. Now you're starting to see trends of women trying to distance themselves from being
Right.
called or labeled a feminist.
Mhm.
Now you're seeing women starting to come out, the same groups that was talking about who they don't need and what they don't need. Now they're talking about where's all the men and
Right.
men. Where black men, we apologize, and men in general, I think we need to acknowledge. Now you're starting to. Now it's becoming a new wave. And the
Yeah.
very thing that I tried to tell men is if y'all put y'all damn flags down and stop debating and arguing with women so damn much and stand on some shit, maintain proper self-respect, engage with women that again, if not all men are bad and not all women are bad, just
Yeah.
engage with the men and women that are still see the humanity in the other side.
Right.
You're going to see, y'all can say that women aren't logical or aren't rational and all this other stuff all y'all want. I think women constantly are adapting to what's socially acceptable to me. And I think that if enough of a trend happens, We just talked about, I mean, not me and you in particular, but we're just now seeing this whole quarter zip trend.
Yeah.
When men start doing things, wearing hats that say make masculinity great again, talking about their changes in voting, changes in who they're going to date and who they're going to support and who they're going to engage with. When men just start moving, culture shifts and women adjust. And I think that if men stop spending nearly as much time trying to win and debate with women on panel discussions, which
Mhm.
isn't going to change their mind 99% of the time, and actually start standing on business, I'm going to be honest with you. Outside of work purposes, I don't engage with women who act like some of the ladies do on these panel.
Right.
I
Yeah,
don't.
I
They're not in
don't.
my world. They're like, they exist. They could be my family. They could have
I
been
don't.
previous friends. They're even when I'm working, there's a way in which I am working in Philly in the hood. There's a way in which I make sure things happen for stuff that gets addressed to where this just doesn't affect my actual daily life.
Right.
And ratchet people, men or women, they don't get much of my time, if any at all. And I think that if men start moving like that, get off of OnlyFans, right? Get off of watching unnecessary things that's not helping you or harming you. Get your ass in the gym, try to level up financially, learn a new skill or trade, prioritize women that still sees the value in men. And much of the things that people are complaining about, that's not your complaint. That won't
Let me
be it.
ask you this.
Mhm.
I'm sorry.
Go
Um,
ahead.
I just heard, what's his name? Charleston White say, uh,
I know what you're gonna say.
that, he sat there on
Uh,
Tasha K and explained what a good woman is. I think a good woman and what a 304. Yeah,
mhm.
what 304. But then she asked, "So which one would you prefer?" He gave a good example or whatever of what a good woman is versus a hoe, basically.
Yeah.
And then she turned around and asked him, "Well, which one would you prefer?" "Oh, the hoe. I want the hoe." So my question is,
Mhm.
do you think most men really prefer that type of woman versus what is considered a good woman? They just don't know how to navigate that? Do they
All right.
really want the good, wholesome woman who's at home and doing the things that but she may not look like the 3 of you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah, yeah, yeah.
do they really deep I asked this question before, do they really want the aesthetic of the 304,
Yeah.
but they want her to act like the good woman?
All right.
Do you think men
Funny, and I appreciate. I literally just saw this yesterday, so I was laughing when I saw it, and I understood what he was talking about. So I think what happens in these conversations is we take extremely, extremely well-known, successful people whose worldviews and experiences are unlike everyone else's, right? Very wealthy, very famous, very well-known men, um, don't have the luxury of walking around and assuming that most women they come into contact with them are approaching them for the right reasons. You're wealthy, you're rich, you're famous. What comes with you is clout, notoriety, access to a whole host of a lifestyle that the average man can't offer. So
Mhm.
the Cam Newtons of the world, the Nick Cannons of the world, Charleston Whites of the world, they're just never going to be models of what the average man or most men are going to ever live through or experience. So they're always looking at things. I think Mario just was interviewed about this. He's not, these guys are what's his name? Shannon Sharp. These individuals, they're signing $1 million, multi-million dollar deals for some of this stuff. Like their view on women and even in terms of marriage and long-term commitment is just never going to be what is the case for the majority of us, right?
Mhm.
So that I always view famous, well-known people and put them in their own separate. They first of all, they mess with a lot of the same women.
Yeah.
They like that. That's a whole different echo
Yeah.
chamber to me.
Mhm.
With what he said specifically, I think he's half right. What men actually want, majority of men, is they want the woman who is dressed that who can carry herself well, who can dress in a way that can still accentuate her form but is not overly revealing, is
Mhm.
beautiful, carries herself well, and acts like um the stripper behind the scenes. Lady in the street,
A
freaking the
lady in the
bed.
street freak okay, yeah,
Every
yeah.
man wants that. Every man wants the woman who who desires him. He wants a woman that sexually desires him. Now, a woman, he has to constantly beg and try to get to be interested in wanting to have sex with him, right? So he obviously wants somebody that's attractive,
Mhm.
maintains her physique,
Yeah.
doesn't weaponize sex, and tries to be the sluttiest, nastiest version of herself for him. But when they step outside, she carries herself like a lady.
Is
Everyone
that
wants
hard
that.
for men to get?
Yes, because most ladies have decided that one of those is seen as oppressive, and they've seen the other side as liberating. Now you get to guess which side in culture between dressing like a lady,
That's oppressive
um,
to them.
yeah, it's oppressive, but then having sex with as many men and displaying everything you can and monetizing your sexuality, that's liberating.
That's the problem.
So so what most men want is they want the woman who has that side of her, but
Mhm.
that's for him exclusively.
Mhm.
But then how she carries herself, this is a woman that could be a freak in the bed and you could take her to a work event.
Mhm.
She doesn't embarrass you with your friends. You ain't got to worry about her trying to seek all this outside attention and validation from all these other people.
Right.
Does not follow all this social media BS trends of she sees something or people are arguing with it on social media and now it's an argument in your home and your relationship. Like, what are
Mhm.
we talking about here? Like,
Mhm.
she saw something with a couple arguing on a reality TV show and now she wants to argue with you about, like, we don't want all of that stuff. In fact, the less that she's showing, the less that she's engaged with and controlled by the algorithm and whatever is the new trending thing, the less that she's impressed by and influenced by that stuff, the better. Because now she's prioritizing being a good partner, a good girlfriend, a good wife, a good mother, and not so much trying to live this quote unquote social media reality TV lifestyle. So
Yeah.
that's what men want. Men don't mind and would prefer and love the idea of her being a freak with them. They don't want her to be advertising that in mass. There's some men that's totally comfortable with it. I think they're rare and anomaly. I think they're compensating for other things. But the men that have self-respect don't want to share their women with other people.
And
And more specifically, the public in mass and other
right.
men in mass. Like, that's what they want. So they want what Charleston White's describing,
Yeah.
but they want that for themselves. They don't
Right.
want that in mass. Most men are not comfortable or wanting the community the community property. Like, we don't
Yeah.
like this. It's this whole thing of, like, when I was in high school, and this is something that this was I'm in high school. This is 2005, 2006, right? And I remember there was this girl that she was real pretty, bad. Like, I'm like, oh my God. Like, I'm like, yeah, I'm doing pretty well, right? We talking, we starting to, we hanging out, whatever. And one of my close friends is like, yo, bro, she was giving head to so and so. At that point, I couldn't look at her the same way.
Right.
And no one had to teach me that. No
Right.
one had to train me. No one had to anything. No one even shamed me about it because only him and I had the conversation.
Right.
And it wasn't even on some whole, bro, your girl was giving head. Like, he even said, he's like, yo, just giving you a heads up, just so you know.
Mhm.
And my entire physiology changed when I saw her after that.
Right.
I just didn't desire her anymore. I wasn't
Right.
attracted to her anymore
Mhm.
because she was doing something with somebody I knew and was cool with in the very same school we was going with. I was no longer attracted anymore. So there is a biological hardwiring thing that I think is inside of all of us,
Yeah.
especially as men, where overwhelmingly we're extremely territorial. We
Yeah.
do like sex and want sex, but we don't want that to be all that she's known for when we
Right.
have to be out in public with her.
Mhm.
That's what men in mass, I think, in general, tend to want. Does that make sense?
Yes. That
Mm,
makes great prin I've heard it before. Uh,
mhm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes perfectly good sense to me. It don't make sense to a lot of, these modern hyenas because they don't get it. I get it.
Well, you know why? Because they're listening to other women. They're
Oh,
listening to other women and they're listening to men that don't have standards for women.
yeah.
That's the best way
Mhm.
I can phrase it is
Yeah.
they're listening to other women who they're not planning on dating and marrying, and they're listening to other men, most of which they don't like, want, or respect.
Right.
That's what's happening is it's the men that have self-respect that are either going to tell you what they do and don't like and what they are and aren't comfortable with.
Mhm.
Or if he's at a certain space where he has options, a lot of guys, when they get to a certain point, they actually find themselves not telling women a lot of things.
Mm.
They actually prefer for her to be in her exact natural state
Mhm.
with no correction, with no feedback. Because now we get to see, when you have all the choices and options in the world, how you're going to carry yourself, how you're
Mhm.
going to dress. You see that I'm in the picture now, how you going to move. And I think in ladies' heads, they think they're the only ones that's testing. They're
Mm.
have these tests in their heads. Guys who have standards have those as well.
Mhm.
It's just that we don't state a lot of times what those things are.
Right.
So I refer to these ladies who struggle with this dichotomy as double dippers, where they want to dip into the streetwalker lifestyle,
Mhm.
escort, prostitute. They want to jump into that lifestyle where they want to act like, dress like, behave like those ladies,
Mhm.
but then they still want to simultaneously be treated and viewed as an actual lady,
Right.
and still be given all the perks of a woman who hasn't done
Exactly.
those things. So they want to double dip in both identities, and they want to be able to tell society how they should be seen.
Mhm.
It ain't gonna work, and their
No.
outcomes don't work that way.
No.
That's why, especially in the Black community, that's why the marital rates are as low as they are, and that's why they've kind of stagnated for our women, even though they're on a slow incline and increase for the men. It's
Mhm.
because the ladies were told a lie that you
Yeah.
can do it all, like, have it all, do it all, act what you want, and there'll always be the man that you want on the other end of all of that. And you want to keep double dipping that school, but then the dudes that are wise, why you think a lot of these men aren't getting married?
Right.
The other dudes I know aren't even having kids.
Right.
And it ain't just because it ain't like there's not enough women around.
Yeah.
It's because they're actually just observing and watching what you do and what you say.
Mhm.
So all the stuff you're displaying out in public, we want that in private.
Right. But they
And
don't even wanna do it in private, and that's the funny thing. They done been
we
with
do it in public, but not in private.
and not only in public, you done been with Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, Mike, Pookie, Ray, uh, all the men, but big body count, doing whatever you could think of, and then you get with this guy, and he can't, you know what I mean? You want, a man to be committed to you, and then he's sleeping on the couch. You're not even doing anything with him. Like, what? I never understood that. I never
Mm.
understood how women could have like, racked up a body count single. Just, you had your fun in your 20s. You know how they tell you, oh, you had fun in your 20s. Oh, I mean, and had all the fun you want in the 20s, swinging from the chandelier, probably with whoever. And then you get it. Say you do get
Hey.
married or you do get in a committed relationship. This man is what y'all say, what he got, blue balls or whatever. That's what you
Mhm.
get when you're not. So he
Mhm.
walking around married, got a whole wife, and he's walking around like that. I'm like, that's crazy to me. I don't
Right.
subscribe to that. I thought that
You
was
know, you know what it is? It's when you've overexerted yourself in the quest to get as many experiences as you can. Of course you'll find the guy at the end of that boring. Of course you'll
yeah,
find marriage and singleness and monogamy now as and
man.
structure as because it's the antithesis of what you've been pushed and promoted and indoctrinated to move and to live. And they've been also convinced that people like you, me, and other people who actually have standards for women, let alone women and men, they've been conditioned and taught anyone who tries to shame or point these things out,
Mhm.
they're evil. There's something wrong with them. And I'm like, oh man, they
No,
got the CIA is one, and they've gotten a huge segment of women, especially in our community. Like it's wild. Like
brainwash.
the CIA has agents that they ain't even got to pay. They ain't even got
Right.
them on
It's on
salary, but they work for them
auto
every
pay.
single day. Like,
Yeah,
so definitely funny. Real quick, I have a super chat real quick. And listen, y'all, if y'all in this stream right now, y'all have not liked it, please make sure you do. Please make sure you send it to 2 or 3 people. Definitely appreciate y'all. Practitioner said for $9.99, unpopular opinion. People don't know what they really want. They are disconnected from their own reality and outsourcing the solution. Woo! Unapplied knowledge is just info obtained entertaining though. You know what, practitioner, I appreciate you for the $9.99. I actually think that you're right. But the problem is, to me, is when you use people to figure that out,
Mhm.
there's individual and collective and societal consequences to that.
Yeah.
I had Tess Pereira on, which is a psychologist based in Dubai, and one of our sticking points that we disagreed on was her recommendations that both men and women should use their 20s to find themselves and figure themselves out. And I asked her and said, like, if this is what you actually are recommending, she said yes to people. And I said, hey, how's that working out? Because I think society and culture is already telling people to marry later and have children later. Well, especially telling women that. And how's that been working out for all these women that's getting to that point? I don't think it's, I think we're already doing that and we're seeing the consequences of
Right.
it. And I also would say this, maybe finding part of finding yourself is picking roles and living to the best of your ability to fulfill that role versus this undefinable, immeasurable concept of finding yourself. I think we get lost in that in terms of trying to find this identity that's not really like a rigid thing that you can, it's always adjusting. Your interests, your tastes, what you want, what you desire in life is always adjusting every 3 to 5 years in many respects. But when you pick something, you just work to it to the best of your ability and use all resources available to do so. You want to go to school? You want to go to school and be a C student or a D student? You want to go to school and go out with flying colors and get that degree and get the best job possible. If you want to work your way up a company, you're going to half-ass it or you're going to put yourself in a position. So when you get in a relationship, don't get in a relationship and gain the wifely 50 pounds. Like the freshman 15, don't gain these 50, 80, 100 pounds and let yourself go and stop trying because now you got the ring. It's actually about when you pick something and you stand for something and you agree to something or you accept a new role, just try to do it to the best of your ability. Look for resources and work with other like-minded people to make sure that you do it and get there. That's it. Like this whole find myself thing. This is why I think a lot of people, and especially the ladies, you done found all these, you done had all these experiences, and now you still trying to find yourself on the other end. And I'm like, well, how many dicks do you need, and how many sexual experiences do you need, and how many trips do you need with men out of the country and getting pooped on in Dubai for you to find yourself? Like how much, like what do men have to do? How many ways do
They
men
ain't
have
finding
to
themselves.
touch you before you find yourself? That's insane. And again, when an ideology teaches you that that's healthy and normal and fine, and you can do that in the prime years where that sex that you want would be most likely to want you, is insanity. I appreciate that question.
There are women in their 60s who still trying to find themselves.
Find themselves,
They
find
still
themselves,
haven't.
because you're never going to find yourself
You've been with you
through.
the whole time.
Hey, practitioner her. It's my belief that it starts with healing your wounds. The problem therein lies you don't know what you don't know. Shaming is a start. Yeah, I remember when I met with Jazz, she was a big person that was anti-shame, and my stance and lens stays the same. That the reason why we're in these types of conversations is because it seems like the only people like us are the only ones that believe that shame has a redemptive quality, letting people know you're going too far. This isn't acceptable. This is making you and your family and or the community look bad. This is making women look bad. It's making men look bad. When there's no shame, why would there be a consequence? I keep trying to explain this to people is that there's no reason for why people should think something is bad or inherently bad or wrong or problematic or toxic. Why do you think they keep doing it?
Right.
So, definitely interested. Listen, hey, oh my gosh, I've kept you for an hour and a half. Let me ask you one more question because I don't want to hold you too much longer. Let me think of a good question. Pearl, homegirl. For those in the audience that aren't aware, Pearl, Pearly Things, she's one of the biggest content creators in the space. And on YouTube alone, she has like either 1 million or 2 million subscribers by this point. She's been making her rounds on different panel discussions, and she was with Fatty and Ali a week or two ago. And there was a big old brouhaha in terms of her talking about that a lot of women in general like criminals. They like men that are a little edgy and kind of have some issues with the law.
Mhm.
And when there was an exchange of her going back and forth with Jazz Noel, initially Pearl used the excuse of Ted Bundy. a white man who obviously was being desired. And we hear this all the time where guy gets arrested and whether he's attractive or not, there's going to be these women that are sending him love notes and trying to get in contact with him in hopes that if he gets out, they can get to meet him. And these would be men that killed women, by the way.
Right.
And
Killers, right.
and a lot of women do it in their 20s,
Mhm.
right? Late teens and 20s, where they pick the men that are usually legally defiant, right? Like they just have all these issues, it got these records and everything.
Mhm.
And she used the white example first, and Jazz, tried to play and act like this wasn't a really big thing and it wasn't like an issue. And then when Pearl used the exact example again, but for black women, and she was talking about the rates in terms of the amount of black males that have been arrested or have certain records or whatever, or felonies or whatever. And how a lot of ladies, that's not a disqualifier. Like they'll disqualify him over height, but not his criminal record.
Mhm.
So that's the thing. So from your vantage point, because Pearl and others that piled on and also agreed with Pearl,
Mhm.
their belief is, especially amongst the black community, that they have what's called something called black fatigue.
Mhm.
Um, A, have you heard about it? And B, what's your thoughts about even this term, and especially non-foundational Black Americans using this whole way of describing and talking about fatigue amongst Black people or this type of behavior? Black fatigue, Pearl, what you think?
The black fatigue definitely exists. You mean and no, typically or originally it was something that was created to fight against what injustices or whatever
Mhm,
that black people were experiencing. Leading to the fact of how black people had some type of mental or physical issue as it related to the injustices or the way they were treated by whites, right? But now, um, there seems to be this idea of black fatigue amongst other black people. I
mm,
guess that's what you're saying, pointing at how some people are sick of it or there are white people who are experiencing it amongst black. It's almost like it's reversed in a sense. Like white folks, if we talk about white people are speaking up on this too. I saw that a little bit where they're kind of saying they're tired of the attitude of black people and everything. It's a basically a issue. They have a problem with everything, or it's always you got to like cater to them. You know what I mean? It's like now the black people are always victims, and you got to always like placate to them and always do. And they're tired of it. But then there are black people who are saying the same thing, saying that a lot of other black people are entitled, and we're tired of their entitlements. They act a fool everywhere they go. I think it's a real thing. I think there are. It's not just with white people. I think there are black people who are sick of the behavior of some other black individuals. There are black people who just don't know how to act, and they're always making an excuse for it. I think it exists amongst us. Some of most horrible behavior amongst some is what others are complaining about. The same way we talk about, the bottom, what some would call the degenerates of our community, like the
mhm,
people who are just acting out, don't, no respect, no values, no nothing, but they have this entitlement that they supposed to, get a certain thing or almost like somebody owe you something or something. It's always like, black people, not all, but some have this idea that they're owed something because of history and because of what's happened, racism, Jim Crow, segregation, all of the things.
mhm,
Um, I don't know if I think that ties into it. I think that has a lot to do with it to where they're entitled. Like, I'm black. This is where I hear a lot of black women always bringing up the fact that I'm a black woman, and they specify it. And they
mhm,
specify it in a way like, because I'm black, you got to treat me a certain way, or you gotta address me a certain way because like I'm special, like or something like that. And I've seen that, and I don't know, it's a little irritating to me. I don't know. I think black people are tired of certain behaviors within the black community as well. And I guess you could
yeah,
call it black fatigue. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. I appreciate that because I think a lot of times what happens in these discussions is when a non-black person speaks on what they're observing and seeing and experiencing in interactions with the black community. Obviously, each of these are individual isolated incidents, but I think multiple things are probably happening simultaneously. I
Mhm.
think the first of which is what I think agrees with you. I think the line of delineation is starting to become more pronounced
Mhm.
in the Black community, and
Yeah.
I actually think it's also becoming pronounced more with men and women, specifically in general, like, and I think now we're in an era where for a very long period of time we've been functionally in like a matriarchy, and now the matriarchy is losing its grip with
Mm,
the ability of being able to always escape accountability
mhm.
and getting the finger truly pointed at them, because
Right.
for a long time the narrative has always been it's the deadbeat fathers,
Yeah.
it's the men, it's if there's a divorce it's the man's fault, if father's not there it's because he didn't want to be there, and it's always
Yeah.
somehow kind of, shifting back to it's somehow way it's always the men's fault. And
Right.
now that we're in an era where we're now correcting that and
Mhm.
acknowledging that there's another contributing factor, i.e., women. Some of that's what's happening. And then two, with
Yeah.
what you said, I think the line of delineation is happening where it's not just along gender lines, but just in general.
Mhm.
I think Black people in mass, foundational Black Americans in mass, particularly ones who aren't doing 98% of the things that they're seeing on social media,
Mhm.
especially the negative, stereotypical stuff. I think we as a collective are now getting frustrated and angry because we're now realizing you all that's doing this stuff have done such a horrifically bad job
Mhm.
of destroying our image. We have
Right.
people that look like us from Africa that are coming in not associating with us.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Now, I have my nuanced reasons for why that
Yeah.
is in terms of propaganda and other things, but in order to be propagandized, they have to be watching somebody.
Right.
They got to be seeing something.
Yeah.
And these examples aren't one-offs anymore,
Mhm.
right? So, in my head, like when we were watching Jerry Springer, right? When you growing up, we all desensitized to it. We actually forgot it was primarily a show about revealing whether or not the guy was the father, right? That was the are you the father? And we gonna find out the truth. The problem was the percentage of the guys that weren't the father. I don't think we actually really thought about how often it's the guy that comes out. The woman accuses him of being the deadbeat, not involved in the child's life. 70% of the time, he ain't the dad. And the audience booed him coming in and leaving. And everybody felt sympathy for her.
Right.
A show that was revealing how many women were lying
Mhm.
and how many men were actually not at fault. And the audience reacted and responded the way in which I think society as a whole tends to respond, where we've kind of excused things for so long.
Mhm.
Now we're at a space and point where, as men and women, are now starting to acknowledge, listen, we're getting frustrated with those of y'all that are condoning, endorsing, and doing the very behaviors that's making us all look bad. Y'all thinking twerking on top of countertops at establishments and being loud and boisterous and stealing all this money and stealing tips and stuff and acting ratchet and doing all this stuff. It's just them and it's this. No, no, no. This impacts jobs that we can or can't get. They'll look at Black immigrants before they look at us. So this is way bigger than just these individual cases. It's shaping and changing. And I want, in my view of this whole Black fatigue thing, it's one thing for us to be fatigued internally.
Mhm.
I think we got to be careful when you got non-Black people who are now openly stating what it is that they're tired of seeing in your community. And because they're seeing that if it's spilling over into other groups, it's spilling into businesses, it's spilling into the airports, it's spilling into other people's experiences. Don't let this become an issue where other people feel like they now have to intervene because we can't self-police ourselves.
Well, you know,
I'm just warning people that remember this. If non-Black people, if white women like Pearl and other people are now getting comfortable with
yeah,
stating
they are.
publicly about their displeasure with some of the behaviors and actions they're seeing on our side, we are not the majority in this country.
Right.
We could have Black judges, we could have mayors, we could have all this black teacher, all this stuff. But if we don't start self-policing, somebody else is going to take the reins for us. So my bad, you can go ahead.
Yeah, and that's what they do. But see, the problem is always on, oh, well, you're white. You shouldn't even be speaking on this. But my thing is, when we speak on it with each other, it's always pushback. It's always that same show you talked about, Jazz. I mean, look, shout out to her. I like that she has an opinion, but I don't agree with the way she comes off and the way she responds a lot of times. There's a lot of pushback and disrespect and all of that amongst each other. So if we, like you said, if we can't figure it out amongst ourselves, and other people are watching, and other races of people can, like you said, can comfortably come in and say, hey, the black woman is doing this, and y'all need to do this. That ought to send a signal to us, to our community, to say we really need to get it together, because sure, they shouldn't be, you know what I'm saying? We should be making sure that we get it together, as opposed to other people coming in and trying to, telling us about ourselves. That looks bad. But anytime you try to correct a behavior that you see is polarizing all of us in a negative way,
Yep.
we get pushed back. We can't
Yep.
say, hey,
Yep.
maybe ladies, I say respect yourselves, carry yourselves in a respectable manner if you want to be respected. Dress appropriately. Stop going out here looking like 304s. If you don't want to be addressed as such, why do you have to present yourself like that? And you don't want the consequences that come with it, but there's pushback. I was watching a panel also where they were saying, that same panel, I think it was Fatty and them panel, honestly, with Jazz on there talking about, where a man should, they say this all the time. I swear, black men got to be Superman. Y'all have to be Jesus. But anyway, it's like, black man has to have this, he should have this control over himself, and he shouldn't be able to do it. And he need to be, the criminals out there shouldn't be criminals. They need to, if they see a lady walking down the street half naked, they should be able to compose themselves and not go, the people who are out here doing the bad things, they got to have, if they had all this control, they wouldn't be doing bad things. Like, you can't control the criminals and the worst of society. You only can control you. So do your power, not try to force a narrative that, I should be able to walk out with my T and A out, and all the criminals should just stand back and say, that's a lady, she just looked like a hoe. Like, that don't make sense, right? I know.
Crazy. And this the crazy part. Somebody posted it here, and I gotta find it. The lead attorney talked briefly with Pearl about this. He handled it exactly well, perfectly, completely dismantled her talking points, her arguments. There's just other way. And again, I've been trying to warn and tell people, especially when I'm meeting, when you get on microphones and race comes up or gender comes up, and you start getting out, like you start having this, crazy reaction, and you can't just stick to the conversation and engage in it in good faith. You're going to potentially wind up looking like the stereotype that everybody's saying they fatigued the problem.
Right.
A lot of people say they can't have conversations with women about anything that's true that women don't want to hear. A lot of people say you can't have conversations with black people about things that they get super emotional about and get highly reactive over. If you prove their point, this is what everybody's talking about.
Right.
This is what everybody's talking about. And I love what you said. Part of the fatigue, or whatever we want to label it or phrase it as, part of it is, to me anyway, an environment in the culture, subculture, where they celebrate everything that makes us look bad. And when women try to point it out, they get demonized, attacked, pick-me's, slaves, all this other stuff. When men try to do it, you're being sassy, you're being gay, you're being in women's business, blah, 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 blah. When you point out in general what's happening in the black community, now you're trying to be white. So they've come up with a whole lexicon, a whole vocabulary of shaming tactics to try to stop you from acknowledging this is a problem and this needs to change. And I'm at a point now, like, even as a content creator, my stance and lenses, I'm just trying to let people know what are the consequences of moving and acting this way. And the people who are trying to better themselves or grow or move away from that stuff, y'all got to start drawing that line and moving away from these people as soon and as possible. Hey, what's going on, Ms. Shawn? Appreciate, love your work, by the way. This is where I'm trying to let people know, y'all better start distinguishing yourselves socially, politically, economically. And ladies, this is a real good cheat code. This is a cheat code that's going to help you. Nothing is one of the key things that I think, I'm going to speak for men in general, but especially men in our community, men in general are going to agree with me. Nothing is sadder for us than when we watch how y'all are on social media when a woman does the most insane, ridiculous, nasty, vile, disrespectful thing, especially if she's famous, and y'all celebrate and promote her anyway. Because our view is that if you were in her shoes, you would move the same way.
Right. If you're promoting it and celebrating it, of course you align with that. That's how it's gonna. I mean,
So if
yeah.
listen, if Cardi is still legally married and Offset was wrong for cheating because he was legally married, and
Mhm.
she's getting pregnant by a man that got 4 other women pregnant at the same time, and you're saying congratulations. I don't think y'all realize why most of y'all are cooked and don't even know it yet.
And they don't care though.
No.
They
Like
wanna do what they wanna do. That's the thing. It's a entitlement.
both.
As a woman,
I think it's both. I think
I
it's
can
both.
do what I wanna do.
I think this so listen, I think this social media shit, I think on social media and in
I
front
think
of their
they're
girls,
batshit
they act like
crazy.
they don't care.
Jeff,
I
I
think it's
think
the
they're
front.
batshit crazy. I do. I do.
Yo, but this is the thing. I think this was crazy. And again, this is the therapist in me. This is the optimist in me.
Right.
I actually think a lot of them care and they know that they've dug the hole so deep to where they now have to publicly act like and publicly align with and publicly keep supporting and publicly keep endorsing. I actually think behind the scenes, I think a lot of these conversations that everybody say is so toxic and so bad and it's women bashing all this shit. I actually think they're listening. I actually think all of them weren't angry with Kevin Samuels. I think they all are angry with you. I think that it's starting to grow. The same thing with the quarter zips. You got young boys that was wearing skied up mask with the Nike suits and all this other stuff. Now, boys and men just decide. I think we're gonna take back our image. I think it's time
Right.
for us to start to swap up and change up a little bit. Now we're just waiting for the ladies to catch up and match our energy. And again, if they're impressionable, if propaganda works, if record companies and advertisers know that women and children are highly impressionable, all that boys and men got in mass got to do is now say, 304 super loose acting, having those standards for yourself. We don't want those type of women at all. We ain't gonna show them attention. We ain't gonna acknowledge them. We ain't gonna mess with them. We ain't gonna. And guess what? Now that gets played out. Now women gonna be trying to scrub their OnlyFans and stuff off the internet. Then their social media is gonna get curated. Then, like, I think that's what's gonna happen. I think women care, but they care as much as their options allows them to care or not care about something.
Mm.
So I think women will say they don't care. You know who are the women I genuinely believe don't care are the women who don't want to ever deal with men in any way, shape, or form. Those women, I believe them. I think the women who are still single and want to do life with men, they care, but they just, for whatever reason, haven't learned and or figured out how to make the necessary adjustments and changes. So listen, this is funny, but you was like, they cook, they crazy.
And look, when they really find out, it's gonna be too late. You're gonna be 60, 70 years old. Well, I mean, what you gonna do at that age? They're finding out too late. They're realizing it when they really don't have any options, unfortunately. Oh, I'm gonna be optimistic. I'm gonna keep hope alive. Hopefully, they can get it sooner than later. But a lot of them are realizing this when they really don't have any options at 60 and something, still saying they're the prize, still saying the same
if you I just saw it. If you 60 and you want pop the balloon, wrap it up.
right. That's what they don't see it.
If you're not a widow, wrap it up. Like if you couldn't figure it out, like nah, wrap it up. Like don't be wasting folks' time. Like this is just sad. And crazy thing is they're using the same talking points as the chicks that's 20 or 30 years old.
They think they're still 30. Like in the mind, they say there's something to that too. You just like, is there something to that? Because a lot of women, they don't see themselves as the older version. They still see themselves as the younger version. Like you really believe that 60 is the new 30.
No, they don't. You want to know why? Because they wouldn't invest nearly as much as they do in their aesthetics if they genuinely believe they look the same as they did 20, 30 years ago. What it is they still view themselves as above men.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So all the makeup in the world, all the hair extensions, all the 5 foot eyelashes, and all that shit that they be putting on, that that doesn't prove to me that you feel very confident in
Right,
your aesthetics.
right.
It's that the reason why they can still talk that way to men is because they still see themselves here and they see men here,
Oh,
regardless. And I think that a lot of ladies conflate their done up look
yeah.
with their actual look,
Oh,
where it's like, oh well,
yeah,
when I'm done up, I'm a
yeah, yeah.
9 out of 10.
When but
So
when you're
then
not, what are you? Are you still a
exactly.
9 out of 10 when you're not done up? That's the real
Yeah.
question.
Listen, if 5 is average, a lot of ladies, especially with no makeup, if we're honest, are probably hovering around 4, 5, and 6 range. That's
Most women,
pretty.
most people are average.
Most people are average,
What's
right?
the pro right.
And again, like this is why I don't believe them. I don't believe them when they say they 10 out of 10. I don't believe them when they
No.
say they don't like most of them. They even when they use all these talking points, I actually don't believe them.
Mm,
I think they're talking out of hurt. They're talking out of failed experiences. They're talking out of well, I don't want it anyway. So like
right.
that's where they're coming from. Like when you talk to these people behind closed doors, when you talk to them in therapy sessions, when you hang out with them and you seeing how they crying over some man or what's happened and this or that and how jealous they get when they see who got the new engagement or who's having a bit. These women care. These women care. A lot of this is a front. A lot of this is an act. They're all fraud. And if men actually did what me and you are kind of suggesting, the women will change. The women will adjust. Now, to be fair, if they wait too late, it ain't gonna matter. You might as well go out with a bang and get all your stripes and get all listen, complete the mission. Don't be a failure. If you 60 and been living that streetwalker life all this time, don't stop now. Like go ahead and keep it. Listen, go ahead and keep it going at that point.
No,
Listen, I
they gotta hang it up at
absolutely
some point.
I,
Come on now. 60, 70, come on. I think there's
Hey,
news up.
hey, there's a market for it. I'm just you know, you never know. So
Child. Mm.
listen, I appreciate you. I know this was a
Yeah.
super long. So why don't you let everybody know where they can find you, how they can support you?
So you can find me, support me on YouTube, of course, at Dee Dee's Reactions, Instagram and TikTok at Dee Dee's Reactions. Yeah, mostly on YouTube though, and I'm on mostly YouTube, but I am on TikTok, believe it or not. I don't really, but it's at Dee Dee's Reactions.
Listen, y'all, Dee Dee Reaction. Please, please, please make sure if you haven't to subscribe to her channel, check out her stuff. I've actually been watching her stuff for the last couple years. Always entertaining, always holding the standard. And I think you're killing it in the game. And
Thank
you've been
you.
holding it down in a space where there's very, very few women
Yeah.
who are going to be authentically honest with women, especially about what you're seeing, what you're observing, and what it's doing.
Mhm.
Somebody just said something that I wanted to share with you real quick before you leave about it's not. Oh, he said, trucking and traveling. Thank you for the $5. He said, I wouldn't call it black fatigue. It's actually ratchet fatigue because
Mm.
a lot of other cultures do the same as the ratchets. You know what, bro? I agree with you. I think this is actually really what it is. And that's why I've always not been a big fan of the quote unquote black fatigue because
Mhm.
I view it the way that I view Charlie Kirk talking about the black community. Like, a
Right.
lot of times you're lumping a lot of this stuff in when it's not really as pronounced in some respects. And I think ratchet fatigue is actually a much more better, accurate thing. I don't know if it's as catchy, but I agree with you for sure. So listen, I appreciate you for your time. We definitely got to collab again. I'm waiting for you to host your panel discussion so I can get invited onto one of your platforms in the future.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah, for sure. I would
yeah.
definitely love to have you on there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So listen, you have a good night. Make sure that y'all subscribe to her channel, support her. And if you comment on her channel, make sure that you tell her to ask her brother sent you. I'm gonna talk to you on the other side.
All right, take care. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Listen, y'all, I hope that y'all enjoyed that. She's super dope, down to earth. And I felt like this was like a really good, like almost damn near like brother sister vibe where we can just kind of connect and talk. And again, like I'm trying to, in my own small way, change the narrative of what we're capable of, what we're allowed to do, how we're allowed to think, who we're allowed to be. And I was so, so happy as a guy who myself coming in, knowing what the energy was going to be when you wear a red hat, even though people can't read, knowing when you start talking about certain topics and people don't want to read books to find out if you're telling the truth, and stating things that's just not socially popular, but maybe objectively true. I know what that meant. But it was extremely encouraging to see the articles and the new wave of the quarter zips where black young males that are teens and early adults are changing their literal image of how they want to be seen and how to carry themselves. And I hope it carries over into their behaviors and pushing themselves academically with trades and academics and avoiding certain things and actually moving in a direction to kind of change the environment and change the way and the social perception of how our community is being seen. And believe it or not, I actually hope the same for women. So I hope that by me risking and doing what I'm doing, that was a small seed that kind of helped with these types of conversations and movements where you're trying to wake people up, men and women, to realize, y'all, listen, we got options. We don't have to stay cooked. Listen, the ship may be sinking, but maybe we can get as many people as possible to get their life vest on. And I think conversations like this is very helpful. So listen, I hope that y'all enjoyed it. Trackstar said, women working and make money is like Eve eating the apple again, and now they have to taste the freedom and they are trying to find themselves. Yeah, I appreciate your $5, bro, for that. Listen, there's just pros and cons, man, that comes with feminism and some of it I think was a necessity in modernity. I don't think adults either side should be in a subclass necessarily. But again, I have my own personal thoughts when it comes to voting and certain rights. Personally, I would up the voting age to 25 or 30 personally. There's probably additional things I probably would add on to it as well as a basic civics test. I think that we need to have higher expectations, to me anyway, in terms of who we're allowing to kind of shape what's happening in our culture and society. And I think more informed, smarter, more informed, more knowledgeable people that potentially even have more stake in the future of the country probably should be the people that if we can't ban who can or can't vote, I think as men, we can start with who's allowed to have children from us, who's allowed to have access to our resources, who's allowed to get. So fellas, I keep saying it again. You can keep saying all you want that women are the problem, women are this, feminism is that. Feminism, what women do or don't do, really only gets to be as powerful and effectual as it is if men allow it. So remember, when we're looking at what's happening, always be mindful of what you've contributed to or what you're currently contributing to that problem. So I hope that this was a really dope convo for y'all. Like I said, I'm absolutely about to release my first original content piece in a minute. I think it's been at least 3 weeks since I've released an episode, if not longer, because I focus so much on the interviews. Master Communicator is next. And then as well, I'm going to have the truth about Black fatigue, single by choice is a lie, the most unattractive people are ... and how to date a feminist. So those next 5 episodes are going to be coming up for sure. And then next Thursday, I am going to be in Atlanta at a live show with Carisha, and the main event will be Charleston White. So I will be one of the opening people. So really, really dope. Hope y'all enjoyed this. Hope that y'all like this type of stuff. Listen, y'all, please hype this video. When y'all see the Master Communicator episode, I'm going to push it. I'm going to push it. And last but not least, make sure you like this. Make sure you subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Feel free to become a member. It's $2.99. And I almost forgot, Daily Rap Crew. Some of the clips from my conversation with the fellas up in New York, they put it out today. So make sure you go to Daily Rap Crew and check out what I did on there on Instagram. Open the full initial clip where we talk about issues and conflict between Africans and Black Americans and whether or not there's some type of clash going on culturally and my thoughts about that. And best believe when more and more clips come out from this, I may be like Obsidian and Tommy and get my channel kind of revoked too. So I hope that doesn't happen because I stood on what I genuinely believed and believed to be true. And, we'll see what happens. So listen, y'all, I'm tired. I got to eat. And Jeff, don't go on tonight's conversation, please. I'm very tempted to go onto most spaces and environments if the pay is right, if the compensation is right, or if it makes sense. It just depends. Sometimes it doesn't make sense for me to engage or collaborate with certain people because I think what their motives are and my motives just don't align. Sometimes it's just as simple as I wasn't invited. So that's why I haven't connected or collaborated with some people, honestly. But like y'all know, I'm not scared of the smoke. but I also know that I have a responsibility in this space to be mindful of everything that I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And even the people that disagree with me may assume that, maybe cats just assume that I'm just kind of going with the flow and just doing everything. I actually think about not just what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, but also the ramifications and consequences of it, even if people disagree. So yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, if I get invited to something like that and I get the opportunity to connect with them and speak in person on stage in front of a whole bunch of women, why would you think I'm gonna pass that up? You damn right I'm gonna do it. And you think I'm gonna change anything that I'm saying on this stuff? No, because I genuinely believe it. And there's some people that I think is in that space that is really, really good more often than not. And there's some people who, like everybody, probably a little pander a little bit or a lot, and it is what it is. But like I said, never know. Maybe in the future I'll get to a space where me and other content creators or people in the space can do something very similar and kind of follow their model as well. But listen, if there's people that's in the space that's trying to do this stuff, I'm just trying to do my little small mark to try to help in different ways that I can. And I don't think ignoring the problem is working. I don't think praising the worst behaviors in society and our culture is working either. And I don't think just ignoring each other in the sense of like ignoring all men or ignoring all women is helping either. So listen, I know this was a lot of different stuff, and again, I so hope when my project is official, my two projects that I have going on, once this stuff is done, I really hope that you know, I really hope that I'm able to make you all proud. So listen, thank y'all 32,000 plus people who have joined the channel all the way up until this point. I appreciate y'all love, appreciate the support. Make sure you like it. Make sure when you see Master Communicator in the next 24 to 48 hours that you see it, hype the video, like it. And like I said, the truth about Black fatigue, single by choice is a lie. The most unattractive people are ... and how to date a feminist are all next on the agenda. And my hope and goal is to try to have all of these out to you all prior to next Thursday when I have to get on a flight. So if that's the case, we'll see what happens. And listen, y'all, if y'all follow up with Trip, who left tonight's conversation, make sure y'all tell him to reach out to me because I love how that brother thinks. And I think that him and I would have a really dope conversation like I've had with many of the other guests here. All right, y'all. It's late. I'm tired. Go get your food, hang out with your family, love on a man, love on a woman, love on somebody. Let's keep it going and let's keep building this thing. Listen, thank y'all for the support, genuinely, and I genuinely appreciate it. I'm learning this and figuring out this stuff in real time, like everybody else is. So, I don't have all the answers. I never will, but I try my best to find those answers out by the time I get behind the microphone. Enjoy y'all evening, and I'll talk to y'all on the other side. Peace. God send out.